Cunegonde from Voltaire's opera Candide, as a young girl I dreamed of having the most extravagant riches, the finest diamonds, the most lavish palaces, and of course, to me, the greatest thing of them all, rocks. Seriously, rocks. Okay, so I might have gone a bit overboard, but honestly, as a young, awkward tween, I obsessed over rocks and minerals, to the point where even the jewelry store employees had a hard time keeping up with the wealth of my knowledge. I spent my days squatting in front of dirt patches, holding river stones to the sunlight. There are still literal buckets of rocks scattered around my house, filled with everything from quartz to granite to limestone and everything in between. However, as I grew older, my priorities changed. I spent my days hunched over my desk instead of over the neighbor's rock pile. I pored over math equations instead of over books on crystal formation. And even during my short time in Science Olympiad, instead of choosing to study geology, the obvious choice, I instead chose chemistry and forensics because it seemed more useful, more important. It quickly became clear to me that my years-long committed relationship with quartz clusters and agate stones had been quickly replaced by what I and society had deemed to be more meaningful. And that is my concern. In this age obsessed with the concepts of progress and prestige, we are pulled by the tempo of the world around us, leashed by time to be dragged forward as society sees fit. Gone is our appreciation for the smaller, more intimate moments of life. Instead, we fester over the larger achievements and milestones that we're expected to accomplish, casting away genuine experiences for the sake of more, all in hopes of reaching that glittering promise of fulfillment that dangles like a carrot right in front of our gaping jaws. So today, let's dig into that rock pile and examine why we tend to fixate on the larger moments in life. Next, we'll unearth the impact of this fixation on our own self-perception, before finally gathering the moments of our lives, the big and the small, back into perspective. Now, from an evolutionary standpoint, wanting more in life is perfectly reasonable. It makes sense. We progress as individuals due to our hardwired instinct to continue looking forward, going further. Clinical psychologist and psychoanalyst Dr. Jennifer Kunst states that it is our evolutionary survival of the fittest drive that pushes us past the boundaries of comfort and safety to adapt to new challenges. It's only by focusing on those larger goals and milestones that we're able to really surpass the limits of our own abilities, or even achieve the unachievable. After all, as children, we're told to dream big, not dream small, and it's our collective need to do more with our lives that pushes humanity to greater heights. This becomes an issue, however, when wanting bigger, wanting more, becomes all we ever want. I'm sure we're all familiar with the feeling, that visceral stinging pain in your chest whenever your mom starts gushing about the accomplishments of that one kid in class who always manages to lower the curve, or when you get a C- on a quiz you promised yourself you would ace. It just doesn't feel right to be at this disadvantage, to be behind in the race of wanting to be and do more. In the end, our passion is quickly superseded by our need to progress, and we begin marking our progress, our growth, through a growing list of awards and noteworthy titles. After all, it's what the world wants, right? Colleges want a list of activities, companies demand resumes. We've essentially been conditioned to fragment our lives into lines of impressive text. Our sense of worth has become tied to the magnitude and frequency of such monumental successes in our lives, our goals swayed by the whims of strangers, and our value judged on a strict binary that standardizes and consumes. In the 2022 film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, we, as the audience, are introduced to the profound philosophical nature of the everything bagel. And yes, I do mean the one with the garlic flakes and the onion flakes and the sesame seeds and the poppy seeds and the salt. Of course, can't forget the salt. All delicately sprinkled over the frankly life-changing entity that is a plain bagel. However, Everything Everywhere All at Once takes the everything bagel a step further. Now, I know this is either weirding you out or making you extremely hungry, so I'll get to the point, I promise. But if you really think about it, our classic everything bagel really isn't an everything bagel, is it? I mean, for an everything bagel to truly be, well, everything, shouldn't it have me on it? Or maybe even you, and a camera, a chair, maybe an entire room. Well, I know that doesn't exactly make for a mouth-watering breakfast meal, more like teeth-shattering and jaw-breaking, piling everything onto a bagel. Or in other words, amassing as many noteworthy accomplishments on yourself as possible isn't as glamorous as it may seem. And everything, everywhere, all at once, the truly everything bagel collapses in on itself from the sheer weight of all that was placed on its tiny diameter, warping into a churning black hole filled with everything from the most shameful report cards to the neighbor's cat to Craigslist ads containing the dashed hopes and dreams of, well, everyone. Is now a good time to mention that Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is an absurdist comedy drama film? Yeah, probably. But despite the absurdity of the fate of the truly everything bagel, it's a surprisingly good representation of the pitfalls that come with wanting too much from ourselves. I am what you could call an everything bagel kind of person. I've taken on a variety of extracurriculars in hopes of proving my worth through competitions and events. I overload myself with AP courses because why not? A higher GPA should be worth the sleepless nights, right? And of course, most of all, I pride myself in my leadership and my involvement, my ability to do more. Nevertheless, when it came time for me to input my list of awards and achievements into the common application portal, I wasn't met with a sense of relief or even self-satisfaction. Looking down at what could be considered my life's work, I felt hollow. Of course, my subsequent YouTube binge of college stat videos didn't do anything to ease my unease, but I simply couldn't stop myself. You see, more never ends. And as society continues to force us to define ourselves by the larger achievements, it is the little moments, the ones that truly shape and define us, that get overlooked. I remember staring at my application portal for hours, trying to fit in the details of what I knew truly made me who I was. Was my title as a Chinese recitation teacher worth more than all the times I tried to make my students laugh and to comfort them when they were upset? Or my writing awards more indicative of my personality than the time and the hours I spend reading on cars and buses despite the car sickness because I simply can't put a good book down? And is my title as a leader more significant than the time and energy and effort I put into planning festivals and events? Time and energy and effort that I would never be able to fit into a 100-character limit. If we solely focus on the overarching titles and awards that we achieve, we disregard every interaction, every conversation, every second of hard work, every diverse experience, every blatant failure that got us here in the first place. And as the world around us continues to demand excellence while continuously ignoring the finer details, we run the risk of holding ourselves to the same strict and unforgiving standard. We become the vultures, picking at our own flesh and bone, feasting on the scraps of ourselves and wondering why we never feel whole. Now, cannibalism, whether in vulture form or otherwise, will never, ever be the correct answer. So how do we bring our focus from the big and back down to the small? Well, you see, it's really all a matter of perspective. And as horribly unambitious as this might sound, don't solely set your sights on your next overarching goal or, heck, even the world. Focus instead on the process, the people you meet along the way, the little challenges that have truly shaped who you are and who you have become. Because no matter how much we might want it, we can't have everything. We can't be everywhere, especially not all at once. So instead, choose to relish in the little things that make life truly meaningful and not just what broader society might claim to be more worthwhile. Because at the end of the day, more can't capture those late night practices before tournaments, the way the sun slips through your fingers on that early morning run, the laughter that trickles between time zones during those late night calls, or the apple your mom slices for you after a long night of studying. Because more is more, but it will never be small enough. Now, for all its garlic varnish and perfectly toasted seeds, the everything bagel really isn't all that, literally. So I say it's time that we strip away the pomp and circumstance and simply embrace the joy that a plain bagel and a tub of cream cheese can bring. Or in my case, a simple bucket of rocks.